Hello couple, I'm Elanda.
I'm Brian.
And we're back with another video. We've been gone for a minute and we apologize for that. We're going to be more consistent in 2019 with putting out content.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to everybody that watched us before we took a little hiatus, but we're back now. So let's jump right into this video. I know everybody's, well, not everybody, some people tuned in to the Surviving R. Kelly 3-part series. It was 6 episodes, and in each episode it was at least an hour long. It was a lot to take in. It was a lot to take in. Now, some of this stuff, if you are on the internet, you can Google. Some of this stuff was already out before, but some of this stuff was new knowledge. So I'm going to let you take the first half of it, because what I got to say is not going to be good.
Well, I mean, for myself, I don't think I had a revelation of any information that was on there. I think most of it was stuff we had covered or talked about or heard about. So there wasn't any revelation for me. I think the thing that took me aback was the pain that was in the confessions of some of the girls and some of the victims. Like, I think that's the thing that maybe we had glossed over as a society because we weren't hearing from these girls. You know, it was spotty from here, and you know, you get some information here or something, but it wasn't out there like that unless you were looking for it. It wasn't like there was a lot of information just right there in front of you. So the biggest takeaway I had was how convincing I felt the victims were. I already knew to some level that R. Kelly was sick and that he had this, you know, thing he had been dealing with for his entire career as far as his sexual preferences and the kind of things he was into. But I don't think I understood from the victim's perspective how bad he had been treating them and how difficult he had made it for them. Now, people say you could just walk away, but, you know, mentally I think he had some of these girls captive and still does.
Yeah. But, I mean, what I was going to say was society and our community especially is still listening to his music. I don't know if you Googled or you heard, his music has spiked 16% since this documentary filmed or added or aired. Sorry. It spiked. So people is out there Googling him, trying to find his music. Like, it's like I'm just beside myself. Because if you understand the severity of the acts and the things that he done to these women. Now, some of them were women and some of them were children. Let that sink in. Children, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 years old. Teenagers. And when he was interviewed by the guy from BET, can't think of his name right now, but he asked him, do you like young girls? Teenagers. How young? What?
Yeah, I think what he said was, you know, are you in the teenagers? And R. Kelly says teenagers. That depends on what age we talk about. Like what age are we talking about? Teenagers. So
for me, it's like, you know, some people are still not getting it. They're not getting it. But if you have a young daughter, and this is what I wanted to say too for the parents, for the Clarys, whose daughter Ariel is still in the sex cult with R. Kelly, and for the, what is her name, Savage, the Savages, whose daughter's still there. My thing is, I don't know if you've ever been to an R. Kelly concert. I've never been to an R. Kelly concert, but if you was to know his songs and his lyrics, there's no place for a teenager to be. Like 17 years old.
That's your opinion.
That's my opinion, because to me, I think him thrusting on stage and grabbing himself and humping ladies and touching all that why would you take your child there? I mean, why would you do that? And then for you as a parent to take her backstage and introduce
now,
her.
which parents you talking about?
Well, the Savages introduced R. Kelly to their
daughter. Well, they
daughter.
both did then, right?
Well, no,
they
because
both did
the Clays allowed their daughter to go up on stage.
And she ended up
backstage. And it was a thing where when R. Kelly saw the parents, then they were, talking then. But the Savages introduced their daughter to R. Kelly in hopes that she would get some kind of a break.
Well, if I might, I think the reason, like a minute ago, why I say that's your opinion, because I think the thing I found out here is, like, I have 2 daughters, so I just already assume that most men that are fathers and protectors kind of went into that role the same way I did. So I made an assumption, and I'm seeing now that everybody don't look at it the same way. Mm-hmm. So what's common knowledge to you might not be so common to someone else. So I'm thinking, like, oh my God, that's the last place my teenager would be with me. Like, regardless of how I liked his music or how much, R. Kelly is an artist that's second to none. Always has been. To me, that's not the question here. That's not the thing. The most ironic part to it is the victims of his crimes are, from what I've seen, the vast majority are black women. The majority of his fan base is also black women. Mm-hmm. The majority of his supporters, also black women. So I found it so ironic that this thing takes place. So when you see the arguments that you make about, why would he be touching young girls or all these things he's done, then his supporters will say, well, we always knew how R. Kelly was. Like, this is his music. So people, the question on the internet now is, can you separate the two things? Mm-hmm. And I think that's an individual decision. Like, whatever your moral compass is, whatever thing convicts you, that's what you go with. So I'm not here to judge anybody and to say, well, you should do this, you should do that. I'm here to tell you, for me and mine, what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. So I have 2 daughters. My role is to protect them. My role is to keep them safe. So not on my watch, no kind of way would I ever turn my daughters over to R. Kelly. And it's that simple for me.
I was furious when I was listening to the Clays explain what happened to their daughter. I was furious because I'm thinking to myself, at this point, the Savages had already came out and said that their daughter was taken and into the sex cult. So at that point, you as a parent, your red flag should be up. Like, you should be like, every little thing you should be questioning him about. Like, no, you shouldn't be alone with my daughter. No, my daughter can't come to the studio by herself. No, she can't go to Chicago by herself. And even with them saying that they had chaperones each time with her, you still allow her to have conversation with R. Kelly by herself. And that alone was dangerous, because at that point, like her sister was saying, she had to call R. Kelly for everything. So he had already got into her mind.
I can't even get that far. I can't get that far. I can't get that far to the point where you're letting her conversate. I don't care what you think is in it for you. That's the thing. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
He was offering opportunities to people who were seeking opportunities. And at that point, he had leverage. And he used his leverage upon the parents and then upon the daughter. And I'm saying, like, I don't know what other information you need to hear. Like, there might be a break in music for her. It just wouldn't be with R. Kelly. Like, he's already given you all the signs. He's already showed you everything. So if you deal with him past that point, you kind of open yourself up to whatever comes next. Mm-hmm. So I even found it, like, it made me think back to Aaliyah and what role her parents played with her uncle and that whole situation.
And the assistant that when he recalled Aaliyah and R. Kelly getting married, how he almost had a smirk on his face, as if he remembers that day to this day, and he saw the fear in her eyes, but as an adult, he did nothing.
I mean, he looked upon it with almost joy on his face, like he still don't get it, and the brother too, the one that's in jail. Yeah. Like, I mean, I think overall Lifetime did a great job telling the story, introducing the victims, letting the victim side be heard. They did what we probably all assumed, but never really had it laid out completely for us.
Yeah, it to me, my heart goes out to them, because even though the adult women that were on the program, who were in their 30s, who the super fan and Kitty, who just was blinded that much, even though they heard the stories, they read the stories, and they seen the tapes, and they still made a conscious decision to meet up with him, call him, talk with him, be alone with him, leave everything to be with him. That's the thing that gets me. The young teenagers, like, they're, I don't think they bear no responsibility in this, because they were kids. They were kids. It's the adult women that I question. It's Andrea Kelly that I question. Not taking away from their pain, because I know they went through something. I know they went through hell living with him. But you, at that point, were the adult. So, I mean, that's all I'm gonna say, because it could get a little bit deeper. But
I mean,
I just don't feel like their stories, to me, was like the younger girl stories, because their pain, at that point, they were kids taken advantage of, and the adults was taken advantage of too. However, you had the wherewithal to make the decision, I'm leaving.
I think that the last young lady, the older woman that was with him, the super fan, I think something she said was really telling, that, it didn't matter about your age. It really mattered about your mental strength.
Yeah.
Like she was saying, if you were weak-minded, that's who he was going to go to. And that's a predator's mentality. But, I mean, I think he oftentimes seeks the younger women because they haven't been as experienced in dealing with people. You might know, how you're going to deal with somebody physically, but mentally is where he captured all these women. Yeah. He got them mentally. He put them in a position where they were looking to him for power. They were looking to him for, to have their needs filled physically and emotionally, and he was providing for them. So he isolated them and took advantage of them. And he's still doing it to this day. And that's the most amazing part. I mean, like R. Kelly, dislike R. Kelly, if you listen to him or you don't, I think none of that changes the fact, like we talked about the parents and their roles and all of that, none of that absolves R. Kelly from what he's doing. If you had a family member or a friend that you knew operated this way, how would you deal with them? So why are we dealing with R. Kelly any different?
Yeah, that's the thing, that he's been able to get away with this for so long. And it's like I get frustrated because people turn a blind eye to his shenanigans. Like, they look away. They almost, it's like a normal thing for them. The bodyguards, the assistants, the people that helped him out, it was almost an everyday thing. They expected it to be this way.
Oh, it was a system. He's refined his behavior over the years to get himself into the position where he knows he has paperwork on these girls, he has video on these girls. He's operating out of a place where he can control them. And that's basically what you're dealing with. I don't know where we are on time, so
yeah, we're gonna have to wrap this up. But I just was frustrated by watching.
There's so much in it.
There's so much in it. You can't pack a 3-part, 6-episode series in 15-20 minutes. But we didn't want to do a recap we just wanted to share our thoughts on how we felt and what we thought when we watched this. And we knew some of the stories. Some of the stories been out. Andrea Kelly's story, she made her rounds before the documentary, so we already knew her story. But some of the other young ladies that was on here, we did not hear their side. I did not know that Aaliyah was pregnant. Just think about all of the women that came on the show and said they were pregnant. They teenagers who were impregnated by R. Kelly, who aborted the babies. I mean, it's just so much to unpack in this episode. So we're just gonna leave it right here, man. It's so many videos out right now that's discussing this, and it's so heavy. It's so draining emotionally, and it's so frustrating that this has happened this long. I mean, you gotta think about when we first heard the stories, when he met Aaliyah at 12 years old, on to now. He's still doing the same thing, and that's what frustrates me. Is he's still out there in the malls, he's at the concerts, and these young ladies are flocking to him. It just baffles my mind, but we're gonna end it. We're gonna end it. I just pray that R. Kelly get the help he needs. Someday, I don't know what's gonna come from this, from them airing this. I don't know if he's gonna be prosecuted ever, but I just hope that somewhere in him, he gets help. He gets the help he needs, and he stopped this madness.
Or at least that we have the common sense to ostracize him and cast him out from amongst the children. I mean, you do what you want to as an adult, but you have to acknowledge his behavior toward children.
Yeah.
With that being said, again, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2019, and we pray that this year shows us on this channel and doing more and being more consistent.
Growth. We want growth this year on this channel.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
We're out.